I just finished a workout at the hotel gym and in a brain-dead moment, sent a flexing selfie to the one person I shouldn't have, Chloe Evans. Her reply was instant. What is this? Are you serious right now? Don't be so thirsty. And where did you get the nerve to photograph those two little biceps? So cringy. I didn't see it. My phone was in the locker while I showered. When I got back to my room and saw dozens of messages and missed calls, a cold dread trickled down my spine. Her last text was a full-blown declaration of war. Why are you at a hotel this late? Are you meeting some girl? I already found out which one it is. I'll be there in an hour and a half. You're dead. Before I could even think of an excuse, I heard her pounding on the door. Leo, open up. I was still staring at the phone, and now she was here. With a sigh that scraped the bottom of my soul, I opened the door. There she was, looking like she'd just driven through a hurricane, her eyes scanning me up and down like a TSA agent. I was in the middle of brushing my teeth. That picture, I said, my mouth full of foam, was an accident. What are you doing here? You're insane. She ignored me, storming past and into the room. She tore it apart, flipping over cushions, checking under the bed, even peering into the trash can. What are you looking for? I asked, rinsing my mouth. You're cheating on me, aren't you? She shot back. I rolled my eyes. Cheating on you? We're not dating. Don't tell me you're here on vacation by yourself, hitting the gym and taking selfies, Chloe said, her hands on her hips. I'm not here alone. See, she crowed. Last week you were single as a rock. You made a bet with me. Whoever gets cuffed first is a loser. Now let's see what pathetic excuse you have. Her search turning up nothing, she jabbed a finger at my chest. So, where is she? Where are you hiding her? I pointed to the adjoining door. Next door. I'm here with my parents, I said lazily. They're in that room. Chloe froze mid-stride. She pivoted with a dancer's grace, then turned and perched elegantly on the edge of the sofa, tucking her legs to the side. A shy, sweet smile bloomed on her face. Oh, she chirped. You didn't say you were with your aunt and uncle. Should I go say hi? I bet your mom misses me. I almost choked, trying not to laugh. The whiplash was going to give me a concussion. It's the middle of the night. They're asleep. Chloe's mom and my mom are best friends, which meant, in Jehovah's minds, that Chloe and I were destined to be soulmates. They'd even joked about arranging our marriage when we were kids. Too bad for them. Chloe and I were more like mortal enemies who'd apparently sworn a blood feud in a past life. We've been fighting since we were in diapers. Case in point, I accidentally send her one photo, and she drives 60 miles just to hunt me down. I rub my temples. See? All clear. No woman. I'm still a lone wolf. You happy now? She was probably just relieved I wasn't dating anyone, a fate she'd been single-handedly trying to avoid since we were kids. The girl was my personal romance repellent. Anytime a girl got even remotely close, Chloe would appear out of thin air to list off 100 of my flaws, effectively strangling any budding relationship in its crib. Now that she confirmed my single status, her mood brightened considerably. Well, of course, she said, her chin tilting up. With that charming personality of yours, what girl in her right mind would ever like you? I laughed, but she just looked smugger. After a moment, she looked down, suddenly shy. So, the front desk said they're all out of rooms. And it's so late. It's not safe for a gorgeous girl like me to drive back alone. So sleep in the hallway, I said. She shot to her feet, her eyes wide with indignation. You monster. Fine, kick me out. I'll go. And if something happens to me on the road, I'll die and come back as a ghost to stand by your bed and watch you sleep every single night. Her face was puffed up like a pufferfish. My resolve crumbled. Fine, whatever. The next second, she executed another graceful turn and, without waiting for a formal invitation, flopped face first onto the bed. I sighed. Great. She gets the bed, I get the couch. This was proof that you should never, ever give in to Chloe Evans. The woman was a human noise machine. I just settled onto the couch when she started. Are you asleep? Hey, you asleep? Are you really asleep? You can't be asleep already. She asked me this, on average, every 2 minutes. I kept my eyes shut, pretending to be dead to the world. You're not asleep, she said, her voice full of triumph. You're not grinding your teeth. You're faking it. I let out a long, slow breath, my patience fraying. When have I ever ground my teeth? I gave you the bed. Can you please just go to sleep? I knew it, she chirped. When we were kids and I slept over, you used to grind your teeth. It sounded like you were eating someone. It was terrifying. Chloe, that was when I was 3. Can we please let go? I'm tired. I can't sleep, she whined. This bed is too soft. I feel like I'm sinking. I ignored her, rolling over. She started up again. Oh, right. I forgot to ask. Who was that gym selfie for? I mean, last year when you took me to the pool, you were a total string bean. You've been hitting the protein powder, haven't you? I took several deep, calming breaths. If you don't shut up, I growled through clenched teeth, I'll make you. The next sound was right next to my ear. Go on, make me. My eyes flew open. Chloe was wrapped in the comforter like a burrito, crouched by the couch with just her head poking out. I shot up like I'd been electrocuted. What the hell is wrong with you? I yelled. Why are you so close? Her face hardened. I don't care if you have to tape my mouth shut. I'm still going to ask. Who are you sending that picture to? It was for Ryan. Okay, Ryan Carter. Ryan was my best friend and the president of our weightlifting club. Chloe knew him. She stared at me for a second, then slowly shuffled back to the bed, still wrapped in the blanket, and lay down. Oh, Ryan, you should have just said so. My desire to sleep was now completely gone, but she, of course, closed her eyes and looked perfectly at peace. Hey, I said, on a serious note, how are the gains looking? Be honest. Not great, she mumbled. I nodded. Okay, well, if you don't think they're any good, then Isabelle probably won't like them either. The burrito on the bed sat bolt upright. What Isabelle? Which Isabelle? Not that senior who looks like Sydney Sweeney, right? I knew she'd bite. Nothing got under Chloe's skin more than the possibility of me actually escaping singledom. Seeing her squirm was my reward. I turned my back to her. The very same, I said lightly. She asked me to go to the beach with her. Anyway, night. I could hear her hyperventilating. The beach? Why would she ask you to go to the beach? Does she like you? How can she? Are her gorgeous eyes broken? Then came the sound of pacing. So that's why you're working out? To show off your muscles for her? You're pathetic. You are actually pathetic. Say something. I smiled into my pillow. I'm asleep. I sang out. Get up. She was right next to me again, trying to yank the thin blanket off my body. She straddled my hips, pulling on the fabric. You are not allowed to sleep, she commanded. The next second, she lost her balance. Her hands shot out, landing on either side of my neck to catch herself. Suddenly, we were inches apart. We hadn't been this close since we stopped wrestling each other at age 10. And now, she was only wearing a thin silk nightgown. We both froze. After a beat of deafening silence, I was the one to speak. Why is your face so red? It wasn't just her face. The tips of her ears were glowing crimson. Chloe blinked. You made me mad, she mumbled, but the fierce anger she usually wore like armor was gone, replaced by a rare, flushed shyness. This close, I realized the kid I'd always treated like an annoying little sister had, somewhere along the way, grown up. Her curves, the scent of her hair, the soft warmth of her breath on my cheek. She just stared at me, and her eyes held something I'd never seen before. The air in the room felt thick, superheated. A strange tension coiled in my stomach. On a sudden, stupid impulse, I reached up and pulled the neckline of her nightgown straight. She reacted instantly, driving her fist into my chest. Ow! The punch knocked the wind out of me. Leo Martinez, what do you think you're doing? She seethed. I coughed, rubbing the sore spot. I was fixing your collar. No good deed goes unpunished, I swear. You hit like a truck. Her brow was furrowed, her lips pressed into a thin line. She was the one who'd assaulted me, but she looked like I was the one who'd wronged her. After a moment of silence, a sly, familiar glint appeared in her eyes. It was the look she got right before she decided to cause chaos. Before I could react, her small hand were on my chest, tracing my pecs. She pitched her voice into a breathy falsetto. Oh, where does it hurt? Let me rub it for you. This was her idea of a game. She was still sitting on me, teasing, and I was trying to fend her off. As she squirmed, trying to get past my defenses, she suddenly let out a small ah and froze. A low grunt escaped my throat. The veins on the side of my neck stood out. Her face, which had been the color of a ripe peach, instantly turned into a tomato. It was pretty obvious she'd finally realized exactly where she was sitting. I gritted my teeth, trying to keep my cool. My expression was pure agony. Chloe, I said, my voice strained. Don't push it. The consequences will be severe. She stayed rigid for another second, then abruptly scrambled off me, grabbed the comforter, and started for the door. Hey, I called after her. Where are you going? Back to my room to sleep, she said without turning around. Wait, you're not going to say the bed's too soft now? I thought you might want to switch and take the couch. In your dreams, she yelled back, and just like that, it was all my fault again. You've got to be kidding me, I muttered. You're the one who kept me up all night. For once, she didn't have a comeback. After a long pause, a small, mumbled voice came from the other side of the door. I'm not talking to you anymore. You're a jerk. Neither of us slept well that night. My dreams were a chaotic montage of Chloe through the years. There was little kid Chloe stealing my snacks, smug when she succeeded, a blubbering mess when she failed. Then middle school Chloe, demanding I give her a ride on my bike to and from school every day, forcing me to call her Your Highness as she got on. And finally, present-day Chloe, her face streaked with tears, screaming at me, "Leo Martinez, you're the dumbest jerk in the entire world." I woke up feeling like I'd run a marathon. The sight of Chloe at breakfast made me flinch. She didn't look like she'd slept much either. The first thing she did when she saw me was roll her eyes. Then my mom appeared, wrapping an arm around Chloe's shoulders and steering her toward my car. "Ah, to be young and full of energy," she said, beaming. "Leo, be a gentleman and drive Chloe home. She must be exhausted." She gave me a look loaded with meaning. In that moment, I was pretty sure I was adopted and Chloe was her real daughter. Of course, putting the two of us in a car together didn't mean one of us would fall asleep at the wheel. It just meant we had to worry about not killing each other. I drove with a thundercloud over my head. "So," I said, breaking the silence, "you drive all the way out here in the middle of the night just to pick a fight with me?" She just snorted and looked out the window. A few minutes later, she spoke, her voice small and hesitant. "Are you really going to the beach with that senior?" I sighed. "It's a student government mixer, okay? That's it." She helped me out with that big project for the club, and I've been trying to find a chance to thank her, maybe buy her dinner. Chloe cut me off. "She helped you, and you're buying her dinner?" "Well, I haven't managed to treat her yet," I said. "I was thinking of just getting her a gift to say thanks. What do girls even like? Perfume? Jewelry? Food?" She pursed her lips. "Please, with your taste, you wouldn't know a good gift if it hit you in the face." "Fine," I shot back. "Food it is. I'll just bring her a couple of chili dogs." She scoffed. "I think you actually look like a chili dog." I was at a loss for words. Then, a brilliant idea struck me. "Hey, I remember how much you love my cookies. I'll just bake a batch of those." She went silent, her mouth set in a pout, looking like I owed her $1 million. "What?" I glanced over at her. "You're the one who forced me to learn how to make them in the first place." Chloe let out a cold, humorless laugh. "Go ahead, make them. That stuff will make her gain 10 pounds. A gorgeous girl like her would never eat your high-fat, high-sugar garbage. You've been eating them since we were kids, and you never got fat," I retorted. "That's a lie." She shrieked and lunged for me. I gripped the steering wheel, swerving slightly. "Are you trying to get us both killed?" I shoved her back into the passenger seat. "Sit still. Don't distract the driver. My life with Chloe Evans has been one long, unending trial. I'm pretty sure I'm here to pay off some serious karmic debt." On the day of the event, I brought the cookies anyway. Ryan had told me a big, expensive gift would probably get rejected. It's the thought that counts. And my cookies were legendary, a skill honed entirely by Chloe's picky palate. So there I was, walking toward the restaurant with a neatly packaged bag of cookies. "Leo." I stopped and turned. Chloe was running toward me, completely out of breath. Before my brain could even process what was happening, she'd snatched the bag of cookies out of my hand. Still panting, she ripped it open and started stuffing her face. "What the hell? Are you crazy?" I reached for the bag, but she darted away, clutching it like a prized possession. For someone who complains about climbing a single flight of stairs, she was surprisingly fast. By the time I caught up to her, her cheeks were chipmunk full, and she looked like she was about to choke. I quickly found a bottle of water and handed it to her. She gulped it down, finally swallowing. "Phew," she said. "That was close." I was starving. I stared at the now mangled, completely ungiftable bag of cookies. The urge to commit a felony was strong. "Are you a dog? You just grab things and eat them." With her mouth finally clear, Chloe grinned, a triumphant, smug look on her face. "None of your business. I ate them. And I told you a long time ago, the patent on your cookies belongs to me." There are moments when you're so dumbfounded, all you can do is laugh. Do you hear yourself? That's the logic of a mugger. She arched an eyebrow. "So what? You gonna hit me?" I shoved the rest of the cookies at her and started walking away. I'd figure out Isabelle's gift later. You can't win against a force of nature. You just have to get out of its way. But of course, she didn't leave. After stealing my gift, she trotted after me, a constant stream of chatter trailing behind her. "Where are you going? Dinner? I haven't eaten either." "Oh, I'm so hungry. Can I come? It'll be a great chance to meet your friends." The woman was like superglue. Once she attached herself to you, she was impossible to peel off. It gave me horrible flashbacks to high school. We didn't even go to the same school, but she insisted I bike her there and back every single day. Her family had cars, but no, she claimed the circulating air helped her wake up in the morning. So I had to bolt a pink passenger seat onto my mountain bike. I didn't get a single date for 3 years. That sticky, familiar, and utterly dreadful feeling was back. Tonight was supposed to be a one-on-one dinner with Isabelle, a chance to properly thank her. Now, my gift was gone, and I had a barnacle attached to my side. I scratched my head. Isabelle, sorry about this." I ran at my mom's best friend's daughter. But before I could finish, Chloe slid into the seat right next to me. "Hi, pretty lady." she chirped, cutting me off. I'm Leo's sister. You know, the one he grew up with. No blood relation, though. She put heavy emphasis on the no blood relation part. I saw you in the student government group photo, Chloe continued. You're so gorgeous. It's like you and Leo exist in different dimensions. I buried my face in my hands. Isabelle, to her credit, just laughed. Leo's sister, huh? Nice to meet you. I'm Isabelle Vance. Unofficial sister, Chloe corrected. Leo said he wanted to ask you to dinner alone, but he was afraid you'd get the wrong idea, so he brought me along as a buffer. So, Isabelle, don't hold back. I'm giving him permission. He's paying tonight. I swear to God. What did she mean? Afraid she'd get the wrong idea. To my surprise, Isabelle smiled and answered her seriously. Well, I was going to insist we split it, but since Leo brought such a sweet and charming sister along, I'll let him treat me. And just like that, the two of them were off, chatting away like old friends. They covered everything from the latest hit TV show to the most popular lipstick shades. I couldn't get a word in edgewise. When I finally managed to interrupt, ladies, should we maybe order? Isabelle said, let's let your sister decide. And Chloe said, let's let the older sister decide. Fine. Nobody listens to anybody. I just started pointing randomly at the menu. They were too busy talking to notice anyway. I was probably the only one who was actually going to eat. Leo here must cause you so much trouble at school, right, Isabelle? Chloe said, batting her eyelashes. He's always been all brawn and no brains. She kept calling me her brother in this saccharine sweet voice that made my skin crawl. Usually, she just called me an idiot or a dog. Isabelle, meanwhile, maintained a calm, graceful smile. Not at all. Leo is a really hard worker in the department. He does a lot for everyone. Her gaze suddenly shifted to me, a strange light in her eyes. She paused, then continued. And if anything, he's the one who takes care of me more often. For some reason, the hairs on my arms stood up. I've been happily stuffing my face, but now I froze. Isabelle spoke again. Last month, I wasn't feeling well, and I had to ask him to run out and get me some medicine. He's very thoughtful. Besides the Midol, he even brought me one of those microwavable heat packs. I was so grateful. Chloe's head whipped around to face me, her jaw tight. How thoughtful of you, she said through gritted teeth. But I heard you're not supposed to use heat packs for severe cramps. She glared at me, her cheeks puffing out like a hamster's. Then she turned back to Isabelle, her voice sweet again. So, Isabelle, do you like guys like Leo? I was so startled by the abrupt change of topic that I nearly choked. Isabelle, however, answered with unshakable poise. Yes, I like him a lot. The words were so direct, even I couldn't misinterpret them. But at that moment, alarm bells were screaming in my head. I was afraid Chloe, who had never been in a relationship in her life, wouldn't be able to handle hearing someone else admit they liked me. I braced for an explosion. This was just cruel. But to my surprise, Chloe took a few deep breaths, forcing her anger down. She plastered a strained smile on her face. Oh, wow. I guess your taste isn't as good as I thought. The air became thick with tension. Thankfully, the waiter came over to ask if we wanted any more drinks. Before I could say a word, Chloe had ordered a whole table's worth of hard seltzers and sparkling wine. This was a girl who'd never had a drink in her life. Seeing how agitated she was, I quickly ordered a bunch of sodas and juices. I knew there was no stopping her, so I had to resort to guerrilla tactics. Every time she poured herself a drink, I'd sneak a little juice into her glass. It didn't matter. Halfway through the night, Chloe's head was already on the table. I exchanged an awkward look with a completely sober Isabelle. Sorry about this, Isabelle, I said. My sister. She's a bit of a kid. Throws tantrums sometimes. Isabelle just smiled at me. Do you really not see why she's throwing a tantrum? The question caught me off guard, but the answer was staring me right in the face. It had always been there, a truth I'd deliberately ignored for years. I dodged the question. Well, I should probably get her home. I'm so sorry about tonight. I'll make it up to you another time. Isabelle, only slightly flushed from a single glass of wine, suddenly asked, Is she your sister? I hesitated. Sort of. And you think of her as a sister? Isabelle, what are you trying to say? She shook her head gently. I guess I've had a little too much to drink. She paused, then looked me straight in the eye. Leo, what I said earlier. I meant it. Isabelle always had this serene, calming presence, like a cool breeze on a hot day. Right now, her eyes were soft like moonlight, patiently waiting for my answer. Being around her was easy, comfortable. But as a girlfriend, it felt like something was missing. I looked at Chloe, who was sprawled on the table. Her face flushed, her lips parted slightly like a little fish blowing bubbles. Something deep inside me stirred. I sighed, about to speak, when Chloe suddenly shot upright. Leo Martinez, she bellowed. You better drink up. No slacking. You hear me? And with that, Her head lolled to the side, and she collapsed on my shoulder. I scrambled to hold her up, turning back to Isabelle. Isabelle, thank you for your honesty, but I... Her gaze flickered to Chloe, then back to me. It's okay, she said, her smile as gentle and warm as ever. It could be the kind of liking you have for a friend. Then, with impeccable timing, Chloe threw up. If she hadn't done it twice more, I would have sworn she was faking it. Getting her back to the hotel was an ordeal. I had to pull off her shoes, get her a glass of water, and listen to her groan. You really went looking for trouble, didn't you? I grumbled, wiping her face with a damp towel. What are you doing getting drunk like this? She was curled up on the bed, whimpering softly. I sighed, carefully cleaning her face. It was flushed red, either from the alcohol or from my scrubbing. You have a serious problem, you know that. I continued, my voice low. It was me tonight, but what if it was some other guy? Do you have any idea what could happen to you if you get this wasted out in public? Suddenly, her hand shot out and grabbed the hem of my shirt. Her eyes were open, staring at me with a dazed, unreadable expression. We were silent for what felt like an eternity. Then, she whispered, I'm sorry. I thought I'd misheard. But she said it again. I'm sorry, Leo. Hearing her speak like a normal, rational human being was so jarring it felt wrong. Are you okay? I asked. Did the alcohol break your brain? She didn't answer, but her eyes started to well up, her expression turning heartbreakingly fragile. I'd never seen her like this. We spent 90% of our time insulting each other. The sudden threat of actual tears left me completely disarmed. I couldn't bring myself to lecture her anymore. I tried to sound reassuring. Look, maybe I was a little harsh earlier. Just be more careful next time, okay? Especially when I'm not around. Safety first, you hear me? She ignored my clumsy attempt at comfort. She just looked at me, tears shimmering in her eyes. That pretty senior, she said, her voice thick. She likes you. Yeah, I said softly. She's really good to you. Yeah, she seems nice to. Yeah. Chloe's lower lip trembled, and the tears finally broke free, rolling down her cheeks like fallen pearls. I like you too, she choked out. Yeah, what? My first instinct was that this was another one of her elaborate pranks. I scanned her face for any hint of mischief, but all I saw was a deeper shade of red rimming her eyes. I was here first, she said, her voice cracking. So, is it too late now? Do you like her? She likes you back. The words felt stuck in my throat. Chloe yanked the comforter over her head, her voice muffled from beneath it. Can you just not like her? A high-pitched ringing filled my ears. The only thing I could feel was my own heart hammering against my ribs like a drum solo. I stood there for a long moment before I finally found my voice. Don't cry under the covers. You'll suffocate. And then she locked herself in the bathroom. Half an hour passed. I had no idea what to do. I couldn't exactly storm the women's restroom, even if it was in my own hotel room. At a complete loss, I called the one person who might have a clue, Ryan. He was the one who told me all of Chloe's antagonistic behavior was just a sign she was in love with me. He'd even predicted, like some kind of psychic, that she would confess to me within the week. I looked at him like he was an idiot. Now, I was starting to think Ryan might be a legitimate clairvoyant. I explained the whole situation. The other end of the line erupted in laughter. It turned out Ryan was the traitor who told Chloe where my dinner was. She's got some moves, man, he said, still laughing. She saw Isabelle and totally panicked, didn't she? And she actually cried? For real? Not fake crying? Oh man, Leo, you're so dead. Your mom is going to break your legs when she finds out you made Chloe cry. He sounded way too happy about my impending doom. Dude, I need a plan. I cut in. She's locked in the bathroom. I think she's still crying. Ryan cleared his throat. Okay, serious mode. Go knock on the door. Say some comforting stuff from the outside. Are you serious? I said. I knock on the bathroom door and whisper sweet nothings while she's. You know, that's not weird at all. That's not super creepy. Dude, at this point, the only way you're getting out of this is if you propose on the spot. Ha ha ha. Ryan's explosive laughter nearly shattered my eardrum. Just as I was about to unleash a string of curses, the bathroom door clicked open. I frantically hung up the phone. Chloe walked out slowly. Her face and hair were damp, and her eyes were red and puffy like a little rabbit's. I spoke carefully. Are you okay? No, she said. I'm not. The next second, she threw herself into my arms. I instinctively tried to push her away, but she clung to my shirt, refusing to let go. She took a few deep, shaky breaths, as if gathering all her courage. Whether you and that senior are a thing or not, she started, her voice determined, I've decided I have to say this. Chloe, listen to me. No, you listen to me, she interrupted. Please, just let go first, I pleaded. Have you forgotten what happened last time? She was much shorter than me, so she was pressed right up against my chest. Her warmth and the faint, clean scent of her soap were starting to mess with my head. She shook her head stubbornly. If I let go now, I think I'll fall over. She looked up, her gaze locking with mine. Leo, I like you. And it's not a crush, and it's not because of tonight. I've liked you since the first time I ever punched you. I said softly, my mom said you slapped me when you were still learning to crawl. Don't interrupt, she snapped. Anyway, the first time I remember hitting you was because you made a flower crown for another girl. I made flower crowns for half the girls in our kindergarten class. Chloe finally lost her patience. She stood on her tiptoes, bringing her face close to mine. If you interrupt me one more time, I'll kiss you. I went silent. She continued, I don't know how you've been such a clueless block of wood for all these years. And since you're probably going to start dating that pretty senior anyway, I figure I might as well get my heart completely broken tonight and be done with it. Who said I was going to date her? Her eyes, which had been dull with despair, suddenly lit up. You're not? You don't want to date her? But she's so pretty. Her entire demeanor shifted from defeated to hopeful in a split second. I rubbed my temples. Just because a girl is pretty doesn't mean I have to like her. The kind of girl I like. It's not just about being pretty. A small, sly smile touched the corners of Chloe's lips. The red-eyed rabbit was gone, replaced by the familiar little fox. She rose on her toes again, whispering in my ear, Want to give us a try? Try what? I read online, she said, her voice a low murmur, that if you want to know if you like someone, you just have to kiss them. Then you'll know. Droplets of water from her bangs dripped onto my cheek. Her eyes, still damp, held a determination I'd never seen before. Her shirt was soaked through in patches, the white fabric turning semi-transparent. I quickly looked away, my face hot. We really had grown up without me noticing. She wasn't the little pigtail-wearing girl who cried over a piece of candy anymore. And now, she was crying over me. Are you? Sure. I asked, my voice hoarse. Chloe's arms wrapped around my waist, and she rested her small head against my chest. My brain short-circuited. Whatever little bit of composure I had left was blown to smithereens. Leo. I looked down, my eyes meeting hers. Before I could react, she was on her tiptoes, kissing me. It was just a light press of her lips against mine. She was trying to be bold, but I could feel her trembling, her eyelashes fluttering against my cheek. And in that moment, the dam of emotions I'd been holding back for years finally broke. A wave of heat washed over me. I wrapped my arms around her, pulling her flush against me and deepening the kiss. An intoxicating, clean, minty scent filled my senses. Chloe gasped, her body jolting in surprise. She quickly went limp in my arms, her breath catching. She tried to push me away, but I just held the back of her neck more firmly, pressing her against the wall. She couldn't escape. Finally, she bit my lip hard. You're terrible, she gasped, gulping in fresh air. I wasn't doing much better. We were both breathing like we'd just finished a 100-meter dash. Did you feel it? I asked. Her face flushed, her eyes darting away. Feel? Feel what? Get your mind out of the gutter. I pulled her into a hug, pressing her head against my chest. You said you'd know after a kiss, right? So listen. Does my heart sound like I like you? I didn't need to listen. It was pounding like a drum, a frantic, thundering rhythm that echoed through my whole body. I suddenly understood what was missing with Isabelle. It was this. Only Chloe could make me lose control like this. In the end, we went back to our separate rooms. My nose had started bleeding, a pathetic and embarrassing betrayal by my own body. I was afraid if I stayed any longer, I might spontaneously combust. I lay in bed, tossing and turning, a wad of tissue stuck up my nose. I couldn't sleep. The whole night felt like a fever dream. My heart was still racing, refusing to calm down. At 3 a.m., I texted Chloe, I've taken 3 cold showers and read 5 ghost stories. I am now terrifyingly calm. Chloe, what do you want, you? Chloe, get lost. At 4 a.m., she bombarded me with a dozen slightly risque selfies, forcing me into 2 more cold showers. I retaliated with an onslaught of food pictures, juicy burgers, glistening pizza, decadent cakes. Late-night food porn. Chloe, at 5 a.m., 2 insomniacs finally reached a consensus. We met, starving and exhausted, to watch the sunrise at the beach. We sat side by side on the cool sand. A sliver of pale light appeared on the horizon. The gentle sea breeze washed over us, blowing away the last dregs of our fatigue. I pulled her head onto my shoulder. My shoulder is here for you, babe. She snorted. Leo, could you be any more cheesy? Hey, this is how they do in the movies, I protested. When they watch the sunrise, the girl always rests her head on the guy's shoulder. She had a look of disgust on her face, but she leaned against me anyway. We sat in silence for a while. A question that had been nagging at me surfaced. By the way, how come you didn't smell like alcohol when you came out of the bathroom last night? I distinctly remembered her being drunk enough to throw up multiple times. Her makeup had been a mess, but when she came out, she looked fresh and even smelled faintly sweet. Chloe stared out at the horizon, a smug smile playing on her lips. Because I took a shower, redid my makeup, and put on some perfume, I stared at her, incredulous. Wait, you took a shower? MHM. A quick one while I was hiding in the bathroom. She looked at me, her expression triumphant. What do you think? Did I smell good? Did it drive you crazy? You're a manipulative little witch, I muttered. She just sniffed. And you're a big, dumb jerk? The clouds on the horizon burst into gold as the sun climbed above them, spilling its brilliant color across the entire ocean. Wow, it's the sunrise. Chloe cheered, excitedly slapping my shoulder. I wasn't looking at the sun. I was looking at her. She pouted. What are you looking at me for? Look at the sunrise. I watched the golden light dance in her eyes, where I could see nothing but my own reflection. The sunrise was spectacular, breathtaking even, but it was nothing compared to the girl in front of me. You know, she said, her voice soft. In the movies, this is when the main characters are supposed to kiss. I leaned in. As I kissed her, I smelled that clean, minty scent again. This time, the kiss was slow and lingering, our breaths tangling together. The little wildcat had retracted her claws. She melted against me, pliant and warm in my arms. Good morning, boyfriend, she murmured lazily. Going from mortal enemies to boyfriend and girlfriend was a serious leap. Chloe was so used to insulting me that she still called me jerkface. That was her contact name for me. I begged her to change it. But I'm used to it, she whined. And it's accurate. A guinea pig is also cute, I shot back. Maybe I should start calling you Piggy. You're the one who started it, she mumbled. You're the one who made that stupid bet that the first person to fall in love was a loser. After a great deal of effort on my part, she finally changed my contact name from jerkface, face with symbols on mouth, to my jerkface, red heart. Progress, I guess. I had always seen Chloe as my annoying little sister, a kid who would never grow up. After our relationship status abruptly changed, I discovered a new side of her, the clingy side. She wanted to be attached to my hip 25 hours a day. She was all about the PDA in public, and behind closed doors, she was a tiny, demanding tyrant. It was giving me a mild case of PTSD, which is why I didn't tell her I had a friendly basketball game for the student government on Monday. I was afraid of what kind of scene she might make. I just told her I wanted to take her out for a nice dinner that night, planning a surprise. Isabelle had told me they were short on people for setup at the gym, so I'd agreed to help out. I was bent over, hauling a case of water, when a terrifyingly familiar voice sounded behind me. What are you doing here? And why didn't you tell me? Chloe stood there, hands on her hips, a suspicious look on her face. Before I could answer, she was already moving in for a hug. Did you miss me? Come on, give me a hug. The gym was full of people. I quickly grabbed her to stop her from turning into a human koala in public. If you have time for hugs, you have time to help me move water. When I placed the third case of water on her shoulder, she finally snapped. Are you a monster? First, no hug. And now you're making a delicate flower like me do manual labor? Leo Martinez, you have no heart. Finish this, and you can have all the hugs you want, I said, pinching her lips shut. So, you can imagine the look of pure, adorable fury on her face when, after she'd finished hauling water, she saw me suddenly change into a jersey and run onto the court. Even after I dunked on 2 freshmen in a row, she just sat there, arms crossed, glaring at me. These friendly matches usually didn't draw much of a crowd. But as my teammates and I started racking up points, the cheers from the sidelines grew louder. After every basket I made, I'd glance over at her and be rewarded with an eye roll. She sat guarding 2 cases of water, muttering under her breath. I knew she was putting a curse on me. But her curses seemed to have the opposite effect. My performance only got better. More and more girls filled the stands, cheering and shouting. Soon a wall of people blocked my view of Chloe. By the end, what started as a friendly game had the intensity of a championship match. The freshmen were completely demoralized. The final score was a blowout. The moment the game ended, a group of girls surrounded me, offering me water bottles. I was about to politely decline when Chloe pushed her way through the crowd. Her face was red, and she was hugging a case of water. She pulled out 2 bottles and threw them in my chest. I didn't catch them. Instead, I took the half-empty bottle she was holding and, in front of everyone, tilted my head back and drank from it. Amid a chorus of catcalls and whistles, I pulled her into a tight hug. Later, as we were walking across campus, Isabelle passed us, holding a cup of boba tea. She paused. You worked hard today, Junior. Playing a game and hauling boxes. We should hang out again sometime. She glanced at Chloe. Such a sweet sister, coming to bring her brother water. Chloe bristled. What sister? I've told you, I'm Leo's official girlfriend. Isabelle nodded, her eyes twinkling. You are now. But who knows about the future? She smiled at me. Well, I'll see you around, Junior. Bye. I waved, then quickly wrapped an arm around Chloe, who looked like she was about to explode. It turned out that the moment we got together, Chloe had messaged Isabelle to gloat. Isabelle, ever the provocateur, had teased her back, saying, I'm not the only one who likes him, you know? You should probably come to the basketball game on Monday, unless you want someone to steal your man. That's how Chloe found out where I was. As we walked, hand in hand, Chloe's face was a mixture of red and white, her mood sullen. I just smiled and squeezed her hand tighter. She had always been so bold and carefree. Now that we were together, she'd become so much more sensitive. Her clinginess wasn't about control. It was because she felt insecure. You need to stay away from that snake, you hear me? She grumbled. She's bad news. See? All those other girls just want to watch you work. Not like me. I would never just watch. I help my boyfriend carry water. She continued to mutter her complaints, and I let her. Then, as her hand was in mine, I squeezed it again. As our fingers intertwined, I slipped the 6-pronged diamond ring I'd had ready onto her middle finger. Chloe gasped, her hand flying up to her face as she stared at the ring. What? What is this? I stuck my free hand in my pocket, a confident smirk on my face. I've got a little money. Her hand was trembling. The next second, I dropped to one knee. Chloe Evans, I began, my voice clear and steady. Your 21st birthday is in 5 days. It will also be the 21st year we've known each other. For a long time, I was too blind to see what was right in front of me. Thank you for opening my eyes. From now on, I'll only be good to you. Every promise I make to you, I will keep. Every word I say to you will be the truth. When you're happy, I'll be happy with you. When you're sad, I'll make you happy. I will always think you're the most beautiful girl in the world. You're my dreams, and you're in my heart. Please, someday in the future, become my wife. No matter how long it takes, I can wait. It wasn't exactly from a movie. It was better. It was from my heart, with a little inspiration from all the rom-coms she'd forced me to watch. In the warm glow of the setting sun, I knelt on one knee, pouring my heart out to the girl I loved more than anything. I watched as tears welled in her eyes, threatening to spill over. She was frozen, speechless. Is that a yes? I asked, my grin widening. Because if it's not, I'm just going to do this all over again. Yes, 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 she finally managed to say. The blush on her cheeks was redder than the sunset. I glanced behind me and saw a growing crowd of students, many with their phones out, recording the moment. I grinned, completely triumphant. Leo Martinez. Yeah, we have a long life ahead of us, she said, her voice low, and we'll be settling our scores for a long, long time. She punctuated her sentence by giving my arm a sharp, vicious twist. But the smile on her face was unstoppable. Sounds good to me, I said, pulling her close. We've got a lifetime to get even.